It's Monday morning and it's great to be with you again this morning. I want to share with you some things that I've read over the weekend, and starting in Jeremiah chapter 1. When I was a very young pastor, this is something that really touched my heart and encouraged me. And I think it's important for all of us who believe in the sanctity of life also. Listen to this. Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you and ordained you a prophet among the nations. God has a plan for each and every one of us. And for Jeremiah, even before he was formed in the womb, God knew he was going to be a prophet. Same thing we see in Isaiah chapter 49. The same thing that God tells Isaiah, he said, "The Lord has called me from the womb and from the bowels of my mother, and he made mention of my name." God knows us. And because of that, there's a great promise at the end of Jeremiah chapter 1 that God has given to each and every one of us. "For I am with you," verse 19 says, "saith the Lord, to deliver you." God is watching over us, and God is taking care of us, and God knows us even from the very beginning of life. And so let's hold fast to the promises of God. And then I want to turn to Joel chapter 2. Joel chapter 2, we talked yesterday. Yesterday was Pentecost Sunday. And we talked yesterday a little bit about Peter's sermon on "This is that which is spoken of by the prophet Joel." And Joel said this in chapter 2. This is the prophecy that Peter was alluding to. "And it shall come to pass that afterward I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit." God has promised to pour himself liberally upon each and every one of us. Let's look for that promise. Let's thirst for his outpouring upon our lives and our hearts. And as I was looking at that, as we were preparing for Pentecost Sunday, one of the greatest promises I think that's in the Bible is just before Joel chapter 2, verse 28. And it's found in verse 25. In the first chapter of the book of Joel, God says he's bringing judgment upon Israel. And he says that the cankerworm and the caterpillar and all of these things will destroy their land. But look at what he says in chapter 2. "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, that the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. And ye shall eat plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, that has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed." God's in the business of restoration. And God will restore all the years that we have had problems, we have situations of life. But God's promise is, "I will restore." And it's not just to Israel, it's to each and every one of us. Hold fast to God's promises today, and they will come to pass. God bless you.